New tonight, a reward is now being offered for information leading to a missing Buena Vista man. Chad Austin has not been seen since late May. I sat down with his parents recently for an exclusive interview to talk about their son. This is a picture of their family. Right here is Chad. They describe him as a caring man who constantly helped people and who loved his family.
Nobody really understands what people are going through until, one of their kids is missing. And it's been hard on us.
Early on in May, you're thinking, oh, he's going to be found. Now that it's gotten into September, I'm sorry, and you realize that, there's more time that's elapsed now. We're willing and desperate to try anything to see if it would help.
Ellen and David Austin agreed to meet for a sit-down interview at a spot their son Chad Austin loved.
He always bought his kayak down here, and we'd go up and down the river.
Chad's been missing since May 28th, last seen by hikers in the Panther Falls area of Amherst County on the 27th, Memorial Day 2019.
Chad's demeanor was described to be as impaired. He was subsequently seen that evening by the same two hikers, and it was these two hikers who reported Chad's vehicle to authorities.
A hike, really anything outdoors, wasn't uncommon for Chad. Look at that! And Chad was no stranger to Panther Falls.
He just showed me a video of him and Gunner like the very week before.
Gunner was Chad's dog. The two were inseparable.
We just feel like that there would be no way that he would leave him without thinking that he would come back.
So the fact that Chad would leave Gunner locked in his car the day he went missing tells investigators he intended to come back.
So this is the last site, last evidence of where he might have been.
Here's Lieutenant Waylon Miller, Buena Vista PD.
So it does raise questions of why Chad would leave his dog behind. That is one of the questions that we have still and would like to have an answer to.
Lieutenant Miller is the lead on this case. He's working with a task force to find Chad, or to find out what happened to the 30-year-old.
If Chad's okay, we want to know that. If not, then we want to be able to identify those responsible for the reason why he might not be okay.
I asked Lieutenant Miller if Chad had any reason to simply walk away.
I think it was recently reported that Chad may have, he has some active criminal charges, but there were negotiations with Chad's the attorney and the Commonwealth attorney about resolving those issues, county prohibiting Chad to walk away for those reasons.
So legal matters wouldn't have played a factor here?
We don't believe so.
Multiple searches have taken place in the area, but there's too much ground to cover. Panther Falls is in the Jefferson National Forest, which borders the George Washington National Forest. Combined, nearly 2 million acres of public land. On top of that, it's a rough terrain, and investigators don't have a lot to go on as far as his travel route.
This is a vast amount of area here, and we really don't have a direct travel area for Chad. We have a belief that, some evidence to lead him along the roadway, but we're still deep in the mountains here.
It's why they need your help.
If anyone who might have been in the Panther Falls area on Memorial Day or the day after, we would definitely like to talk to them. If it's any photos, with the individuals in the background that we might see, if we could take a look at those.
In God, we believe in protection over him, and we have faith that somebody out there somewhere knows something that will hopefully lead us to him.
And I don't know if you can see in the monitor below us, it's pictures of all of the things that Chad loves. His family really wanted to get that out to the public, because his family, for one, was important to him. And so they wanted to show that. Now the reward that's currently being offered, it's at $1,000. And I know a lot of people have been asking the family if they can contribute, and they can. You could donate at Carter Bank and Trust, which is in Lexington, Virginia.
It's an excellent story there. I think we really feel like we got to know Chad. Was there anything in particular that really stood out to you when speaking with his parents?
I think what stood out to me the most was how caring Chad was. His parents told a story in particular about the fact that he was constantly helping hikers. He would come along the trail. He would make them food, help them clean their clothing, and just do kind stuff like that for them. And that was just one of the many stories that they told of Chad making a difference in people's lives. So it's one of those, if the roles were reversed, if the situation were different, then they know that Chad would be out there looking for the person who's missing. And just a little note, October 22nd will be Chad's 31st birthday.
And we hope he is home by then. People out there watching this, maybe they have some information, some tips. What can they do?
Well, we have the information on our website. They can call the Buena Vista Police Department. We have that number on our website, WFXRTV.com. There's also a Bring Chad Austin Home Facebook page where there are a ton of pictures of Chad. There are videos and there are ways to chat with the family if you'd like. That link is also online.